I just verified your tasks, some of what you have done, everything. Yeah, actually still you need to achieve, you need to design them. So many options are there. I will few more people sent today. I will check those also. And after that, I will show you in the classroom how we can manage such type of example. In the classroom, we will see how to handle it. Right. And several people still haven't sent. Don't think that I am ignoring. I will see 1-2 days more. And after that, I will keep you waiting room every day until you send the tasks. Okay. So, and I will regularly continue the session for other people. Right. So technically, last session already we discussed about working with how we can use the styles and effects with the display. Display, we have a grid display, we have flex. So display, we have table. I showed you just basic of table. And already I told you that we don't much depend on table display. So a few more options I will show you to make you understand actually. Few more options we will see. Means few more examples I will show you how we can handle the display, right? Now, technically, we will today discuss about the other options in CSS. So what are the other options and how do we handle them? So previously we discussed about all the display options. Yeah. Now after understanding the display, so next important we need to discuss about all the other effects that we have. So today we will understand about other options like how we can define the positions, how we can configure the positions and all others. Technically, so we need to understand some positions, working with the positions in our CSS. So today we will see how we can work with CSS positions. So it is very important to understand CSS positions, right? So in the designing of layout, we have to be very clear in understanding the positions. So first, what are the positions available and how to use these positions? Just one example we will see, right? Technically, position, important point about position is the position property, position CSS property sets how an element is positioned in a document. So that means actually the top positions, we can have the top, right, bottom and left properties. Actually, they determine the final location position. Final location position. So CSS position property is important to understand. So, but one problem is some browsers cannot understand some values regularly. Browser compatibility issues are there. How we can overcome also we will see. Yeah. Technically, what are the position property and what are the values and how do we define the position values? We will see one example. So technically, position values. So position can be defined with the following values. What are the position values? How we can define the position values? Let's see about them. So the position values we are adding. Yeah. We will see what are the values and the description. Okay. How do we use the position values and description? Yeah. Actually, we will see one example also. So the position value, we have a static position. We have a static position, right? Actually, static position is nothing but the element is positioned according to the normal flow of document. Normal flow of the document. And when you set this, the top, right, bottom, left, and Z index, you will learn about them. Properties have no effect. And actually static, it is the default value. The normal position for any element is actually static. The default position is actually static. So that is normal position, right? So the default position is static. So, and we have a relative position, relative position. Actually, I will show these examples. So in this, the element is positioned according to the normal flow of normal flow of the document, and then offset, it is offset relative to itself based on the values of top, right, bottom, and right, bottom, and left, actually. So actually the main concept is it is relative to the existing elements. It is relative to the existing elements. So I will show you how it is relative to existing elements. That is actually relative position. So that means the position can be static, position can be relative, and position can be absolute. Position can be absolute. Absolute position is nothing but the element is removed from the normal document flow, and no space is created for element inside the page. It is positioned so closest to the parent element based on left right values. Based on left right values. It depends on the block that you have created. Block that you have created. That means based on the parent, right? So technically, this is the element is removed. The element is removed from normal document flow. Is removed from the normal document flow, and no space is created. Space is created for the element in the page layout. So it is placed relative to created for the element. It is spaced relative to the parent element, parent element, relative to the parent element, and affected by top right, bottom and left values. Bottom and left values. Yeah. Bottom and left values, actually, right? You will see that because this is generally a very confusion thing for initial CSS learners every time. Even after learning so many times also, several people are confused about these positions actually. That is a very common concept. That is the reason we need to understand with some basic level examples to correctly know about the positions. With the examples, we will see how we can manage them. And we have another position is fixed. Another position is fixed. This is also element is removed from the normal document flow. Removed from the normal document flow. It is positioned at a fixed location, based on left, right, top and bottom values. So it will not move with regard to relative elements actually. It will not move with regard to relative elements. It is fixed onto the page actually. And you have one more is sticky. We have a sticky position also. So sticky position, so it is positioned according to the normal document flow. And important about sticky is it will have scrolling relative to the parent up to specified units, units, and then lock scrolling. So, and then lock scrolling. That's what actually sticky positions are. We will see that. So means how these positions are used. We will see about that. One simple example, how to use and how do we work with them. Technically, so to understand these positions, so we need to first understand what is meant by keeping in document flow. That is the key concept actually. What is meant by keeping in document flow, right? So we will see that. We will see how we can manage that, right? Now, in this approach, we need separate examples to understand actually. Then only we can try this entire functionality. Okay, let's check one by one how to use them. How do we define them? Let's see one option here, means how we can manage these positions. So first point is you need to know that what is meant by document normal flow removed from the normal flow. It is nothing but actually technically speaking. So document have a flow. Suppose we have some contents. Suppose we have a div. Inside that we have a paragraph. Inside that we have a span. And the span is closed and paragraph is closed and the div is closed. And the normal flow of this is so it is going to handle the paragraph inside the div. So that means first the parent is div. Under the parent div, we have the paragraph. In the paragraph, we have the span like that. Usually, what happens now is when we say it will be in the flow, it will be outside the flow. It will be outside the flow. How element can be outside the flow? Positions. So if it is outside the flow, that means it is moved. Suppose span is positioned with options like absolute, and it is like fixed. When it is positioned as absolute and fixed, that means it is removed from the normal flow. It is removed from the normal flow. And it will be affected by top, left, right, and bottom options. That means it is removed from the normal flow, and you can keep top, you can keep right, you can keep left, you can keep bottom. You can keep anywhere. That is what actually the concept of removing from normal flow. That is actually, so position. It is removing from the normal flow means that is position. So that is position, right? Technically, what happens here is, suppose, let's see one example. So let's take a simple example here. Right. Now we are defining a sample here, new. So, and this is the position right here, .html. Okay. Let's create a simple, so doc type HTML head. Okay. And here style. First, I will just put a link. Relation is equal to style sheet. And href is equal to, so we have fonts CSS all.css. Yeah, so that is general font we defined. We have body, right? We have the body. And in the body section, so I just defined a div. First, I just defined a header. Okay, inside the header, we defined a menu. Yeah. So inside the menu, here I am defining home. I'll put a span that is home, the span that is about, and span, so that is contact. Okay, and here I have defined in the menu. After that, aside, I defined some aside, and I will keep a span here, and I return here as FA class, as FA, and FA shopping cart. Yeah. So here I defined as your cart. So that is the option here, your cart. And items, how many? Some your cart items, something like this. Your cart items. Your cart. So, and how many? Suppose say 2. Just like number, I'm just defining. This is aside we have defined in this way. Actually, when we run this, you can see it will be displayed here. So let's run this and see. That means it will be displayed here. Right. So that is cart. That means as for the flow here, as for the flow, just temporarily I am using a header style. So header, some background color as some brown, okay, and color as some white, okay, and that is the header. This is the header actually, and you can see that currently element is present at the normal flow. Element is present at the normal flow. All right. Element is present at the normal flow. Right. And when element is present at the normal flow, so you can see that aside is according to the flow. It comes after the menu. After the menu. That's the reason you can see it is after the menu. It is below that. Aside is below. I need to bring it outside its location, outside the header. It is written in header. I need to bring it outside the header. Then usually what we can do is, so we said aside, and for aside position I can keep it. Here position we can define it as the positions which are used for removing from the normal document flow. We have a fixed position, we have normal absolute position, fixed and absolute position. Then I am defining here absolute position. Absolute position. As of now, when I put absolute position for aside, you can see that. So it is a absolute position. That means aside is removed from the document flow. Aside position is absolute. So that means it is actually removed from the normal document flow. Okay. After removing, so here color is white actually. So aside, if it is removed from the document flow, color is suppose I defined as yellow. Color is yellow for that. You can see it is now present here. Text, because it is removed from the document flow. Earlier it is present in this flow of header. When it is present in the flow of header, so I'm not using, see here, suppose I'm using absolute. Instead of absolute, I said static. Static is the default position. Static is the default position. That means by default, it is static. That means it is in the flow of the document. So header after header, menu after menu, then this will come. That is actually static position, static position. So that means it is in the default flow. Actually, it is in the default flow. That is the static. So that means it is inside the default flow. By default, it is static in position. Later we will see different examples, but here I'm just giving the static is given in this way now. The static is given in this way. That means that aside element is positioned according to normal flow. And the document right, bottom, left, index properties have no effects here. It is the default value. And you can see that due to this, the output for this snip, sniping. And the output for this, I will just take a capture and output here. The output will be in this way. It is inside that. That means the output, I will just keep it here. It is inside that position actually. Right. So that is actually the position absolute, position static. Now when we keep the position, as absolute, it is removed from the normal document flow. So, and it is outside the document flow. So that means now what we will do here is let's go into the design. I keep the position as absolute. So then you can see it comes out of that flow and it is having a separate location. It comes out of the flow and it have a separate location. So it have a separate location. You can see yellow, your shopping cart is here. Now, technically, what we are doing is, suppose header height as some 100 pixel. So the height will be 100 pixel. Now you can see, sometimes you do like this and you will say that, sir, you said it will come out of the flow, but it is not coming. That is a general observation actually by very freshers. Why? Because they will forget that they are using height for the header and they will say that you said it will come out, by why it is not coming out. Coming out means not coming outside it. It is removing, the flow is removed actually. So don't try in this way to get confused about that. So even it looks inside, but it is not inside actually, it is outside. Only the point is your header height is so much. That is the reason it looks like that. So, but actually if I delete this and you can see that as per the normal flow, it is not inside it, it is outside. And if I put static, then in static, it is inside only. It is inside. Even I don't adjust the height, it is inside, right? Now, when I put absolute is nothing but the element is removed from the flow and there is no space created for the element in the page layout. You can place the element, so based on the values like right, I defined right as 10 pixel, right as 10 pixel. So that means in the design, it goes to the right side now, right as 10 pixel. And I defined, suppose top as 0 pixel. That means it is affected by using right and top now. And top 0 pixel, it will come there. I will change its color. So to some black. And you can see that it will be there. And it is affected. Suppose I said top 10 pixel, then it will move top. I don't want top. I just keep right. That means it at its place, it will be right side now. Right side, how many pixels? So from top, how many pixels? You can adjust that. You can adjust that. It can be affected with the right and the top like options. And we can keep changing, moving the position of that particular element. Position of that particular element. That is what actually absolute. And important is if there is some more content inside the page, that means we have some more content inside the page, some section, and inside the section some paragraphs of information or some other contents may be there. Some paragraphs of information and some contents are present there. I will copy that and I will use that here. Yeah, some paragraphs information is here. We are configuring that. And if there are a lot of paragraphs and okay, so many paragraphs of information is here. What happens is the absolute position, you can see it is not relative to other elements here. It is not relative to other elements here. That means it is completely not related to other elements. But important is it has its own position and it can move. It can move along with the document scrolling. It can move along with the document scrolling. That means it moves along with relative other contents, but not positioned relative to other contents. It moves along with other contents, but not positioned according to other contents. That means here those points should be clear. That means it moves along with other contents. So, but not positioned relative to other contents. Not positioned relative to other contents. Actually, that is another point. It moves along with the other contents, but not positioned according to the other contents. That is actually absolute is. So if it is positioned relative to other contents, then usually it should not overlap them. It should be kept before, above them or below them. It should not overlap them. It is overlapping means, so it is not relative in position, it is absolute in position. And it is out of the block actually. So it moves along with the content. So this is a simple example. So I will just copy this. Means rest of contents are same, no change. Only the style I will copy. Same previous example only. So in previous example, just only the style I will copy. Later in every example, we will keep them. Same above example only. What we have to do is in the section, keep a section in the body and put some paragraphs in the section. Some text. Keep some paragraph in the section. Right. That's what actually we need to define. So technically this is the point. So that's how it is managing. That is technically the point. So you will observe that it is not positioned relative to any other information, but it will be scrolling. So here We have another option. Another option is fixed position. It is also removed from the normal document flow, but it will be fixed with that position. That means it will not scroll along with, so along with other contents, other relative contents in page. It will not scroll along with other relative contents in page. It have a fixed position. This is also removing the element from document flow, but it will not scroll along with other relative contents on page, right? So the difference is it will move along with the other contents, but not position. So here it will not scroll along with other relative contents in page. Its position is fixed. Its position is fixed. Is fixed. Is fixed. That means it actually lock scrolling. It will lock the scrolling. So that keeps the element at that specific location every time. That means what I can do now, the same example, position, I change it to fixed. I change it to fixed position. Fixed position, you can see it's also looks same, no change. But observe, when I'm scrolling down, then its position is fixed there. Its position is fixed there. Aside position is fixed there. Suppose I am just giving aside with the background color, suppose dark cyan and the color as white. So white, yeah. And that is that aside. And you can see now when I scroll, its position is fixed. It's not scrolling along with relative. Its position is fixed. It is not scrolling along with the relative. Actually, if we say as absolute, so we say as absolute also looks the same. But when I move, it will move along with the other relative contents. So I need to keep it fixed. You can use for navigation bars, advertisements, anything. So you can keep fixed anything. Sometimes advertisements will be fixed, navigation bars will be fixed, right? You can use for any purpose, right? So currently I just fixed an aside area that is fixed, right? We will see that navigation bars also you will see. So that means here it is scrolling that content. So, but the aside area is fixed. That's what actually the concept of fixed. Same example, just only the option is you need to change with the style and keep it as fixed. So example is same, so that we can keep this as fixed. That is fixed. I'm using fixed. The rest of example is same, the above I given, right? You continue the same example, just you have to keep changes in the design. Okay. Now we have another option as a sticky. Usually this sticky have problem with different browsers actually. Internet Explorer and other browsers, sometimes they can't understand the sticky position. Actually, position sticky is nothing but, suppose the position sticky we need to configure. So generally, how that sticky means we need a proper example for that actually. Suppose sometimes what happens is to deal with these sticky positions, you will see different things. Later in CSS, you can do more effects also. Sometimes what happens is, so you have a lot of headings here above the header. So we have a lot of heading. So that means Amazon shopping, something like this. Yeah. So there is Amazon shopping like this. Now under that you can have some banners or logos or something like that. Means we have an div. So here I have an image. A source is equal to images banner 1, 2 or 3.jpg. So width 100%. Okay. And we have a banner here. So, and height, suppose some 100 pixels, 100 is the height defined for that, like this. Now what happens is our scroll bar is here. Our scroll bar is here. So when we means our navigation bar is here, actually home, about, contact. That is the navigation bar actually. There is the navigation bar. Now important is when we have that navigation bar. So usually what happens now is generally the navigation bar should scroll. It should scroll up to top some pixels and there it should lock scrolling. It should scroll. Fixed means it will be fixed there itself. It will be fixed there itself. So it should not be fixed there itself. What should happen is it should move. It should move up to the top pixels. Then it should stop scrolling. It should stop scrolling. Fixed means it will stop scrolling there itself. There itself. Then usually what we define is, so for this header, we can configure here. So that means for the header. So I'm defining, so position as a sticky, position as sticky. One problem is the browser like Mozilla, Chrome, these browsers, several browsers don't understand this sticky. I will tell you how to make them understandable for different browsers. Browser compatibilities, we will discuss about that. So this is the sticky position sticky, and the top I defined as some 0, top as 0 pixels, or say top 10 pixels. Okay, that means position sticky and top 10 pixels, that is defined for header. Usually what happens now, when I scroll this, it will go to the top and it will stick there. At top 10 pixels, it will stick there. And rest of thing, it is scrolling now. It is scrolling now. This is actually sticky position. This is the sticky position of the toolbars, headers you can give. It's not fixed position. If I give fixed, then it will be there only. And our other paragraphs will go above. Now, rest of the contents you have to manage, because see, the content is scrolling here. So rest of the content we can keep below position. That means we have section. We have section position. We have section position as relative. Section as relative. And here I defined, so top as suppose relative position, top as suppose 100 pixel, like this. For that I will tell you a different approach later, right? Now what happens is, now when I'm scrolling this, then it will stick there. and you see it goes outside because it is relative to the current one. It goes outside that bar. It goes outside the bar. We can make it outside the bar, below the bars, right? That part relative I will tell you separately. Another example means another example. Initially, this is sticky position. So sticky position is how it is different from fixed actually. Fixed means it is kept every time there itself. So wherever you are scrolling, it is kept there itself. It will not move from there. And sticky is nothing but it keeps your content, it keeps your content scroll. And the rest of the content will be scrolling in the background. Usually, generally what happens is, suppose we have a section, right? We have a section. Yeah. So here we have a section here. You have defined the option here like background color. Background color, I am defining some color, some white like this. So that's the background. Suppose we have a margin top margin as suppose 20 pixels like this. I defined just the section there. Now, even you define that margin top, you can see when I'm scrolling here, it will be behind. So we need to keep this, the positions in the position. Suppose I am defining as position as static. I define position as static. If I define position as static, usually for that content, that means it will keep that flow here. You can see static is same like default, no change. So how you can keep your content below that? How we can keep the content below that? For that, we need to design one separate positioning. I will tell you that by using top, by using margin top, by using padding, we need to create one option. For that, we need to use a combination of margins and all. I will tell you, we will design one proper toolbar like that. Because for that, you need to know Z index and all also. How to keep over or behind like that. That's what I told you here. It depends on an option called Z index. So it depends on the Z index also that you are going to see in the next point, how it works. So what is difference between fixed and sticky? Difference between fixed and sticky as of now. Difference between fixed and sticky, that example I will give to you. Fixed will keep always at that position. Sticky, it will make it scroll up to certain pixels and there it will stop scrolling. So there it will stop scrolling. Rest of the content will scroll. Actually, usually what people do is to keep it a good appearance, they keep 0 pixel top. If they keep 0 pixel at the top, usually what happens is there is no gap shown there. It will scroll all the contents like this. There is no gap displayed. It's your wish. You want to keep at the top 0 pixels or at any another position, that's your wish. You can configure that. So that is just based on other elements also. So that is sticky. And this is example. So the same example, this time for header, we are adding the sticky option. So we are adding the sticky option, right? So the same example, but some changes we have done at the top. So I will give up to header. Up to header, what changes we have done in the body section. So rest of options are same. Rest of contents are same. That means above that header, we added some contents like a heading, like a banner, so that the header will push down. So actually this is the navigation. Navigation will push down. So then we can give a sticky position for that. We can give a sticky position for that. Right. So this is the options to understand actually. So how we can keep the positions, how we can keep the positions. So by default, the position is static. The position is static. And we have the position relative. These are present in the continuous flow, in the continuous flow. Bringing outside the flow is done as outside the flow is done as by using this absolute and a fixed. But absolute will scroll along with other elements. Fixed will be locked at that position. And the sticky will be in the normal document flow. It will not come out, but its scrolling will be locked. Its scrolling will be locked. That is what actually the concept. Scrolling will be locked. And what does the position relative indicates actually? Relative indicates means it's relative to the parent and child. It's relative to the elements beside and above. It's relative to the content here. That means relative to the other elements inside the page. That's what actually relative is. Relative is. For example, that means relative positions here. So here we have defined. So another option. So relative.html. Okay. Just a doc type HTML head. Okay. Subtitle relative. Fine. And in the body section, so here we are defining a div. So this is class as some box1 and another div. So the class as some box2. Okay. Pixels and height also 100 pixels and border as 2 pixels solid. Okay. And solid. And just I defined some terms like box1, that is box1, and like box2. We have defined this. And this box1 and box2 both have the same options. And as per the current design, so they are one below here. Next, here the point is, so we have to keep the position, that is box1, and I'm keeping this box1 with box2 with 50 pixels and 50 pixels, that is a little bit smaller. And here I'm keeping this box2 inside the box1, inside the box1. And for the box2, I'm defining. So here box2 I'm defining. So position relative, position relative, and I kept right as 0 pixels. Right as 0 pixels. So position relative and right 0 pixel. As I told you, that relative will not be affected with the right, left, top options like this. It is not affected with that. Only what are affected, suppose I am defining this. This is relative. Relative means relative to the parent. It is relative to the parent. Suppose I defined as margin left as 10 pixels, margin left 10 pixels. You can see it will move 10 pixels relative to parent. Suppose I said, suppose 20 pixels, it is relative to the parent. 20 pixels relative to the parent, relative to the parent. Actually 20 pixel is not this. Actually 20 pixel means page 20 pixel is different. This is not 20 pixel actually, because this is relative to the parent element. So with relative to the parent element, it moves now. It moves down. Suppose if the position is defined as, if the position as defined as, the position is defined as absolute. If the position is defined as absolute, that means we are configuring the position as absolute position. The position is defined as absolute. So in 20 pixels, or the position is defined. Suppose I said 100 pixels, 100 pixels. Now important is when the position is defined to absolute, actually it will go behind that content action. You can observe that, because it is not relative to this one, relative to this one. So generally, so if we define relative, that means we are configuring relative to that particular element, how many pixels. Suppose I said some 200 pixels, it will move. Suppose if it is 100 pixels, it will come here. So if I say 200 pixels, it will move outside. It doesn't matter. But remember, actually, this is not the original 200 pixel. Why? Because suppose we have another div outside called class box 3. So for box 3 also, I'm defining the same effects. So that means box 3 also same like box 1. I'm defining the same effects. For this also, same effects. Now this I am defining as margin left as 200 pixel actually. Margin left 200 pixel. This is also margin left 200 pixel only. Then you can see that. So in that we will put some content. So this is box 3. Box 3, that is box 3. And box 3 will have some border. So box 3 will have some border and pixels defined here. Height, width configured here. And actually it is 200. That means, so here we are defining here. Now, actual margin left is not adjusted for this box 3. So that is box 3. I will just keep like this. Fine. This is box 3. You can see box 3 is here. That means it is positioning. It is positioning. It is positioning the contents. It is positioning the contents. For box 3, the position is according to the current flow. That means it will actually comes default position. It actually comes after this parent. That means after box 1. Then box 3, what it will do is, it will keep the position 200 pixel. This is also 200 pixel. So that means both will look at the same positions here. At the same positions here. So here, another point is why it is, because by default it is static. By default, it is position is static. I will change this position as relative here. Relative also same. Why? Because it is relative to the current element. We don't have another box outside. So if we have another box outside and there is some other box inside this, so then you will have same type of alignment. Suppose there is a div here. So for this class as box 2 style, we are giving box 2 style. I given as box 2 again here. Inside it, you can see it will be relative to 200 pixels, this one. So that means actually what happening here is relative position. So we kept relative position for this box 2. That means when it is relative to box 1, it will set 200 pixel for box 1. 200 pixel with box 1. Now when it is relative to box 3, it will set 200 pixel from box 3. It will set 200 pixel from box 3. That means relative to its parent. Relative to its parent. Because